Yeah, hey my people, my name is Chinedu Anichi, your one and only celebrity CSO, and today we'll be having a very important person in this show. And very soon, he has been in the studio, but I don't know what's going on, maybe network challenges, and she will come back in the studio. He will come back in the studio. Yes, he will be back in the studio because of Nigerian network. Sometimes the challenges is coming from Nigerian network. But he's back in the studio. I can see him now. He's back in the studio, but Nigerian network challenge is not anybody's fault. So thank you, sir. You're welcome, sir, to this show. My name is Chinedu Anichi, and this is African Voice in Diaspora.
Okay. The problem was coming from an incoming call, not really network.
Okay. You can put your phone on Do Not Disturb.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, just put it, scroll it down. You will see, flash it down. You will see Do Not Disturb,
Okay.
so that those calls will not disturb you, sir.
Okay.
Oh, what the hell? Um,
Okay. I've done that.
you done that? Okay. Hmm. I want to do something. 1 minute, sir. I don't know what's delaying the. Okay. Um, uh, I'm connected to Instagram now. I'm trying to connect to all the studios. Yeah,
Oh,
yeah. Thank you, sir. My people, today we have a very illustrious daddy, illustrious son of Nigeria, uh, somebody in Nigeria that we all know too much, that have made sacrifice in the area of sports, in the area of security. So today, may I have the privilege to announce to you the guest we have today in the show. His name is Dr. Uh, Hassan Yakmut, and he is everything he will tell you about himself. Let it not be that I'm blowing the trumpet. Let me have the privilege to invite this illustrious son of Nigeria to this show, The African Voice in Diaspora, streaming from United States of America. So we have our daddy here. Yeah. So I present
thank,
to you, my people, the audience, Dr. Hassan Yakmut. So, Daddy, you are welcome to this show.
thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, thank you, sir. I know a lot of people know you in Nigeria, but for protocol purposes, please, because of other African countries and those from diaspora that are watching you, please tell us, introduce yourself formally, and just bring in, I was this, I was that. I know you were many things. You were in sports, you were in security, you were in charge of all the Ministry of Interior and all that and all that. So please just give us the privilege of telling us all that as you introduce yourself. God bless you, sir.
Thank you so much. You rightly said my name is Al-Hassan Yakmut, PhD. I attended 4 universities in Nigeria: Ahmadu Bello University, first degree; Obafemi Awolowo University, masters 87 to 1990. Then I did my postgraduate diploma in marketing and public relations, University of Nigeria, Enugu campus, 1998. Then went back to went back to University of Jos for a master's in international law and diplomacy, and did a master's in business administration with the Netherlands School of Business in 2012. I convocated in The Hague in 2013. I just finished PhD with the University of Jos in law and diplomacy, emphasis economic diplomacy. And I started my sporting career right from primary school and secondary school, university level. I won 2 gold medals for Ahmadu Bello University in 1982, and then 1 gold and a silver for Bafemi Awolowo University. I was African University in Burkina Faso, Ouagadougou, 1989. And 1990, I got an appointment as a senior officer with the Federal Ministry of Youth and Sports. 2 months after, I was made personal assistant to the Minister of Youth and Sports, General Wawa Kure, under IBB. Then I was also to Tex Akinye. After being information minister, he became executive chairman, National Sports Commission. With him, we went to the 1992 Barcelona Olympics. Then I was also special assistant to 4 different ministers between 2001 and 2010. Then I also secretary to the Nigeria Professional Premier League from 2007 to 2010, and became the first director of grassroots sports and chef de mission of the Nigerian contingent to the All Africa Games in 2011 in Maputo. And then I was also the mission to the 2012 Olympics in London. And in 2015, I was made Director General of the Sports Commission under Goodluck Jonathan. And from there, I was moved, when the Sports Commission was scrapped, I was moved to Ministry of Niger Delta as Director of Special Duties, and later became the Director of Planning, Research and Statistics, Niger Delta, for 1.5 years. I was posted in 2018 to be Secretary to the Board of Civil Defense, Immigration, Correctional Service, and Fire Service for 3 years, where I retired in May 2021. That is the story of Al-Hassan Yakmut. I was also a volleyball player. I played for the country. I also was playing for Kano for 7 years, volleyball. We were the 3rd best team in Africa in 1987, 88, and 89 consecutively. So that's the
Wow.
brief story. I also ran for Senate in 2021, but I had an accident a day to the primary, so I didn't participate in the primaries election.
Wow. 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 Wow.
My,
Wow. That's what we are talking about when I tell you that what we do in this platform, Daddy, let me tell you. This platform, I created it by the inspiration of a statement made by the great novelist and professor in Nigeria, may his soul rest in peace, Professor Chinua Achebe. He said that when an outsider tells your story, it will never end without prejudice. That the best thing is for you to tell your own story the way it is. So a lot of things, CNN present us as any kind of thing, Al Jazeera presents us as any kind of thing, Europeans write novels and plays and make movies about Africa. But I decided to create a platform where Africans will talk their own story. Africans will tell their own tale. Africans will have a voice to say in all originality, without adulteration, without media adulteration, that this is who we are. So, and what we do is that we get our best. So today, you are one of our best. Even the profile that you gave here is enough to tell any part of the world that you are a seasoned personality and we are proud to have it in Nigeria. So
thank you so much. I forgot I did not tell you that I was also a member of the advisory board of the Commonwealth on sports. We designed the youth sports charter in 2013 in Scotland.
wow. So I am so grateful, sir. One of the
Thank you.
reasons why we called you here today is that sports is a very important part of Nigeria and Africa. Sports is an integral part of us. One of the things that sports do is that's the sure plug for unifying Nigeria, detribalizing Nigeria, removing Nigeria from religious bigotry and whatever. So sports is at an integral point of our unity. And somebody like you who can be referred to as an authority in sports is also an icon of unity. And this is why we are looking for you. This time that Nigeria is being challenged economically, and there are a lot of challenges security-wise, people like you should be referred to. That's why we are looking for you. This is why we want to stay in Nigeria. We still have this kind of people. So what are we doing? Are we really looking for them? Do we still refer to them? Because what this our platform does is to sustain intergenerational conversation so that the Gen Zs will not lose it entirely. If we have people like you tell their stories of experience in America, where I am, there are things that will happen now in Ukraine. They say, okay, let's look for a veteran who was in Vietnam. Let him share the experience of Vietnam. And once he shares the experience of Vietnam, the strategy can be deployed in Ukraine and result will be produced. This is why we're looking for people like you. So, in all humility and the privilege that I'm today listening to people like you, permit me to ask you some few questions about your experiences in sports. What do you think, Daddy, is the major challenge Nigerians are having about sports? And what do you think if we can do, from your point of experience, sports will be better and Nigeria will regain its glory as giant of Africa and the greatest sporting country in the black soil?
Well, that's a very, very strong question to answer. And as God will have it, I was privileged to have traversed the sports sector as an athlete and as an administrator for about 40 years. I did 25 years in the Ministry of Sports stroke National Sports Commission. So the greatest challenge I would have said I witnessed myself and my also personal attempt to change when I was privileged to have access to authority as at the helm of affairs was that there is no constructive succession plan for leadership and athlete preparation in the country. At a point, the School Sports Federation was actually the breeding ground for talents. Then suddenly it disappeared and fizzled out. At a point, sports was a cardinal activity, an integral part of the school system. But now it's no longer the same. So we have lost in the area, we have the challenge of facility maintenance. In fact, I was pushed in 1989 to write my master's thesis on the maintenance and management of sport facilities, a case study of Bendel and Bauchi states. But again, the culture of maintenance is still a challenge. So we have challenges in succession plan for leadership. We have challenges in strategic planning for talent identification and development. We also have challenges in maintenance and management of facilities. But I must say that we have also underexplored and underexploited the number of talents that we have abound in the country. Otherwise, the turnover of superstars and performance at the highest level would have been much better. Do you know that by 2026, globally, the sports industry will hit $700 billion, and Nigeria has less than 100 million share. of the dollars in the 700 billion that is to be achieved. But meanwhile, 3/4 of sports by nature is controlled and played by blacks. Blacks have the natural gift of physique to be in charge of almost every area of sports. But unfortunately for Nigeria, we are not very coordinated enough to explore and even bring sports to the point of adding to the GDP and economy of the country. So as I highlighted, the area of challenge is talent identification, sustainable talent identification program, succession plan for leadership and maintenance of facilities.
Wow. Wow. It shows that it shows like you really took time and you were part and parcel of the development of sports in Nigeria because you hit it on the nail. When I was in the secondary school, Daddy, there's a program we call Akada. Akada used to be a grooming ground for selecting talents. We do all sorts of stuff, but this time there's no more no more Akadas. The what do you call it? The private schools that have taken over everything. Children, they don't even have facilities for sports. You can see just a small compound like this. They build a school and say it's a private school, give it a name, and there's no football field there, there's no volleyball field there, there's everything is just go to computer, go to this, and we are losing it. So another point you raised that is very, very mind-blowing is the issue of sustenance and maintenance. Our government don't act in continuity because if a minister leaves or a director leaves, what he leaves behind, somebody else will come and start something fresh. He will not even think of what that man left behind at all to work on it and develop it. So it is a very strong point. But what do you think, Daddy, that if we adopt, what are those things? If like people like you, like if I am the president of Nigeria, it's people like you I should go and bring you wherever you are, place you in a position, even if it's not the ministry, create a commission, a supervisory commission for people like you. That's the kind of things they do abroad. They create a commission, a supervisory commission, that people like you who have experience, who have spent 40 years in this, and God still give you good health to be able to articulate and come out and see how sports can develop. They can create such things, and people will come and bring in their ideas. So, but I am not the president, but I am the voice of Africa. But even if they are not hearing me, for the sake of this platform, Daddy, what do you think that if we adopt in Nigeria, if we adopt in Africa, that is going to help us to be part and partake in these billions of dollars that sports has already placed globally?
Now that brings us to programming. If we develop a program, for instance, in order to discover a talent up to Olympic level, it requires not less than 12 to 16 years of continuous and sustainable planning. Now, that planning should go along with provision of standard facilities and also ensuring that the manpower that is utilized is up to date with contemporary process of preparing an athlete. That means there should be funding for the education of the coaches, and there should also be provision of funds for scientific equipment and programs that will guide the athletes holistically to stardom. Now, in Nigeria, we have advantage of 65% of the population below 35, and the catchment area of sports is actually below 35. So which means with 45% of the population also below 25, we are now a veritable breeding ground for talent development and high performance development. So if the government, the public sector, and the private sector are able to put hands together to structure a good program and sustain it, within no time, the economy, the GDP of the country will change through sports. And all the issues of crime and criminalities that the youth are actually involved will be brought to the barest minimum if a constructive program and facilities are put on ground to engage athletes. One, athletes can be competitive in sports and they can be recreational. So which means their leisure hour will be properly put to use while they can engage as professional athletes in sports to earn their living and also empower themselves economically. So I would suggest that government has made the effort to return the Sports Commission less than 2 weeks ago. The National Sports Commission has been returned. Um, a chairman has been appointed and a director general has been appointed. They should now just hit the ground and structure the Sports Commission in order to be part of the 700 million billion dollars that is available in the sports market industry.
Yeah, you mentioned programming, and in that programming, it encapsulates diverse application. One is funding, another is equipment, especially education, scientific education of the coaches, because you can't give what you don't have. So
Yeah.
to be able to compete globally. So, and this would be a wonderful thing if the Nigerian government will adopt this advice. But, Daddy, you mentioned something very, very critical, and I would want you to expatiate. Security challenges is one of the things we are having in Nigeria that looks like it's becoming chronic. So, a lot of suggestions are made, but from the suggestion you made now, it struck me because if the minds and hands are busy, nobody will be thinking of crime. So, which way do you think that if sports programs are diversely applied or deployed in Nigeria, that is going to reduce this crime rate that is already militating against our both economic and physical well-being in Nigeria?
The area of greater concern about the involvement of youth in sports is particularly almost at 0% at the local and state level. Out of the 36 states and FCT, only about 3-4 states are funding sports in their states with serious attention. And as a matter of fact, even in this local government, there is no even office in charge of sports in the local government area. And 3/4 of the population of the country is in local government areas. So I'm expecting that the tiers of government, first beginning with the local government and the state government, should pay adequate attention in the engagement of their youth. There are a lot of programs called youth empowerment program, but none carries sports along. And sports is being seen as being casual. Meanwhile, it's actually a life-changing activity. You can be professionally involved in sports, and if you cease to be an athlete, you can also become either a sports physician or a sports coach or a sports psychologist. So which means there are other areas of engagement abundant enough to keep all these idle youth busy. I remember when I was an active athlete in primary school, apart from homework and sports, there was nothing that was keeping me out of busy. So I was always engaged in sports, and I cut my teeth from the primary school football team before I now went to become the overall sports prize winner in secondary school. And from there, I made the national team. So how you prepare the youth is by engagement. We are now in an era, digital era, where if you don't engage the youth in sports, they will end up doing only sports on their phones. And that is very passive. It doesn't keep their entire body fit. It will just keep them mentally sound, but physically weak. So the nation needs to draw a clear-cut program for youth in local government, especially in primary schools, and those who are out of school. The school facilities in every village should be a recreational facility for the community in the evening. So it serves a dual purpose. While it serves during school hours for people's students, in the evening, it serves as a community recreational center. That will also reduce the prevalence of hypertension and other common diseases prevalent among the adults.
Wow. So, you see, sports is a very important thing. There was a marathon race that took place in St. Louis, where I stay in US, and I was privileged to cover the marathon race. So, I was one of the TVs that covered the marathon race, and I was interviewing some people. I came to the point that they were very involved in marathon, but just like you say that the blacks have natural strength, which has given them opportunity, a better opportunity when it comes to sports. Some of the Americans interviewed, they said that it's true that they do a lot of marathon here, but whenever it comes to international competition, that the blacks take first marathon in the marathon, the Kenyan people, the Ethiopian people, you see. So I was so impressed, and I said, okay, God has given this to Africa. What is stopping us? Okay, government policies, Daddy, that are made, do you think there should be an involvement? Do you think there should be what the Senate should do, like the arms of government, like the Senate, what they should do, and what presidency should, their attention should be called to be able to speedily spear up a program that will help Nigeria promote sports? Because if you look at what is happening now, it's just like we are joking.
That's true. You see, you brought a very critical point.
We went to the last
You
Olympics, we
see,
cannot boast of anything.
you happened when we did not win any medal in 2020 in London, a national international summit on sports development. Doctor, the president was there for 7 hours to ensure that we came out with a very solid development to ensure that Nigeria never comes without medals in any Olympics. In fact, Kokonjo-Iweala, the coordinating minister of the economy at that time, was part of the preparation so that we can establish a high performance that has all the requisite equipment and facilities for preparation of athletes and performance at the highest level competitions. Now we have a legislature. The legislative arm of government has not established any law apart from the law that was just passed on the 23rd of May, 2023, establishing this commission. There are no legal instruments that, but in one of my analysis, the United Kingdom Parliament has over 130 different laws in sports, including how spectators should behave in the stadium, including how external forces, visitors should behave when they come in. There were laws ensuring that there was absolute security, there was also maintenance. Margaret Thatcher in 1979 approved £200,000 to the English Premier League. Today, the league is in millions of pounds. It's also part of the GDP of the United Kingdom. Why can't we have such an investment and make sure that sports is not just for recreation and mere winning of medals? It should be also part of business.
Wow. That the economic part of it is mind-blowing. That expression that if Margaret Thatcher had the foresight, he had the futuristic mindset, and you can see the $200,000 has turned to billions of dollars today in the English League, and you can see how our boys are watching the English League more than our local league. So, because I know you're a professional in volleyball, but I also know with your experience, you know certain things about our football. So, in the formation of the Super Eagles and their recent performances, do you think that this issue of lacking from the grassroots, harnessing the talent properly, and with transparency and on merit, so how do you think is affecting the performance of our Super Eagles, Golden Eagles, Golden, all this, and I don't know, there are three
That's
various sets. So
yes,
their performances recently. Do you think that this poor approach to harnessing talents is affecting them? Uh, and if it's so,
yeah.
what do you think?
On two occasions, I was drafted to the Nigeria Football Association and the Nigeria Football Federation to assist in some administrative job with the local league. And you know, the local league is a breeding ground for all the superstars that we were supposed to use. But because of the gap between the talent identification program at local government and communities and the level of the talent development in the state, as well as the national level in order to establish players, the disconnect has forced Nigerian athletes to footballers to only prepare to play for British or for English leagues or other European leagues. In fact, up to the level of African leagues, Nigerian players keep leaving. There was no season of the Nigerian Premier League that players don't leave for other leagues. So first and foremost, in order to get a formidable league, a formidable team in the Super Eagles and Super Falcons, we need to ensure that our league at the national level is highly competitive and is well organized, enjoying all the market values. In one of my business analysis, when I was secretary to the Nigerian League, we discovered that Nigerian League produces higher quality of players than the South African League. But the South African League has a better marketing strategy and funding regime and welfare for its players more than the Nigerian. So which means there is a deliberate need for the Nigerian football system to prepare for economic viability, to ensure that the facilities are there of high standard, to ensure that the spectators are invited to watch, just like they are also having electronic television rights. They should also ensure that families will be excited enough to look forward to a live watch of a match in the stadium than people being afraid to watch a game and come out to find out that their vehicles are stolen. So it must be a comprehensive arrangement where there is standard security in place, light refreshment available, very hygienic environment, and also ensure that the ticketing system is accurate enough to ensure that spectators who pay for their tickets do not miss their seats when they get to the venue. And the officiating too, the officiating must be qualitative. It shouldn't be a match where you win at home and lose away. It should be the quality of officiating must be standard enough to enable a team win their match, whether they are home or away. For the missing link in the Super Leagues and the Super Eagle and Super Falcon, I think if we are able to ensure that players earn enough within our home, we'll be able to keep our team for a year or two for them to familiarize with them and understand themselves very well in order to play as a team. If you notice our team for a long time now, Nigeria does not play as a team. You just see individual competence among the players, but that unity of purpose is not there.
Yes, this is a very, very important part of what you just said. What you just pointed out now is a very important part of it. Because, like a few days ago, I was on this show. I was with the goalkeeper, the number one goalkeeper of Super Falcons, um, um, Nnadozie Chiamaka. And some other time I was with Kanu Wanko on this show about a month ago. So about 4 days ago or 5 days ago, I was with Chiamaka. I asked her, how did you start? You know, because you see the practical involvement in grooming them. He said he started as a player, but one of the days, his coach discovered that he can be a good goalkeeper. He said he never wanted to be a goalkeeper, but because of the kind of experienced coach she had, he now changed him to goalkeeper, and today he's number one goalkeeper of Falcons. He has a clean sheet. He won best French league goalkeeper. Today is the first goalkeeper of Paris FC, and he's making Nigeria proud everywhere as a female goalkeeper. So it's because these coaches were experienced. And these coaches were allowed to do their work. There are some factors, what we call Nigerian factor, that don't give people hands to do. Like, I just want to say this, it's not because on my show. These wonderful ideas you have here, I know that within the time you are in commission, you might be putting all these things down. But Nigeria has this tendency of, even when ideas are put down, there's no practical approach to it. It doesn't mean that people like you who knows all these things are not there. Why are we giving cold feet and cold complacency to these wonderful ideas that can bring us to limelight, that can catapult us to a point where the identity, the giant of Africa, will be maintained without question? So I think
you see, interesting.
A corrupt practice comes in here, Daddy. So what do you think? Because corrupt practices, it's not as if wonderful ideas are not in Nigeria, but they are killed, they are aborted, either because the person is not in favor of the ruling party, or the person is not from the tribe that should be favored, or the person has no much connections. Like with what you have answered here, if it's a place like United States, for just granting this kind of interview, I never sent any questions to you. I just bumped into you in this show and start asking you questions, and the articulated way of presentation shows that if you are giving an office in Nigeria and giving a free hand and support, in 1 or 2, 3, 4 months, the issue of sports in Nigeria will have a positive effect. So why are all these things not being practiced in Nigeria? Why are we not bringing up these wonderful ideas that are innate in our people?
The disconnect between technical know-how and political leadership is also a major. I was able to work with technocrats like Dr. Amos Adamu, Dr. Patrick Ekeji, who were also director generals at the Sports Commission. But each time there is a change in regime, it also changes with focus. And the sports does not do well in an environment where there is no sustainability. Because if you discover an athlete at the age of 6 years and he's to become an Olympic medal at the age of 18, 20, and you don't have a connection between one training phase and the other, definitely preparing that athlete for global podium will be very, very difficult to achieve. Now, I was Director General for only 6 months. But because of the previous experience I had had and the experiences of my predecessors that I put together, we were able to retain the second position in the All Africa Games in 2015 in Brazzaville. Now, unfortunately, when we came back, the Sports Commission was scrapped. The technical backbone, the technical central nervous system of the country, which is the Sports Commission, ceased to exist for almost 8 years until last 3 weeks. Now, but nonetheless, we're suggesting that this new group of people, we will stand by them to give them full support, ensure that they don't stay too long on the drawing board in order to come out with a more constructive plan to sustain the identification of athletes and also the development of facilities and provision of standard equipment, as well as the capacity building of coaches and sports physicians and psychologists at the same time. That will depend on government funding as well as good sponsorship and marketing plan in order to make sure that the private and public sector resources are put together to bring Nigeria back to limelight. When the Super Eagles were playing, it was very easy in those days to predict which match to win and which one to lose. But these days, it's after 90 minutes that we guarantee to know whether it's Super Eagles as well. We have a challenge. Our coaching development program is so porous that we now bring in players from overseas and coaches from overseas. Even though the Nigerian players came overseas, were discovered in Nigeria, but we have the capacity. During the Christian and Shogun Odobomi period, 90% of the players were from the country. Patrick Ekeji started playing for Nigeria immediately after, before he went to UNN. In 1979, he was already in the national team. So if we can recalibrate the Nigerian system and create a good environment for talent development and administration of sports, I'm telling you, by the time we spend the next 4 years, you discover that sports and other components of the economy will be contesting on leadership in generation of revenue and empowerment of youth.
Sure. Daddy, I think you have really exhausted what we can do. If only we will listen. I'm an Igbo man. There's what Igbo people, when an elder finish talking, you will say, Nti odekwa. Nti odekwa, it means our ears, is it still working? Our ears, are they still working? So if an elder finish talking, he has no energy, he has no strength to start fighting. But we tell the young people, until what this is, do we still use our ears? So I'm trying to tell Nigerians that are listening to you and Africans listening to you globally, so that's what I want to say. And at this point, Daddy, I respect you for your humility and the kind of personality you are. So because there are some people that if they have passed through certain things and they have some choking, angry fingers that wouldn't want to really project an idea that will be progressive, they give up. The way I'm looking at you, you are not giving up. Even the new people that were selected, you are interested in standing by them to make sure that they succeed. That is when they say somebody is patriotic. With this kind of things you have been involved in, I can confidently on this show say that you're a very patriotic Nigerian. You see,
because thank you so much. Chinedu, I was given this title in the East as Ejoku Bondum, truth is life. when I
Wow.
worked as the sports coordinator Southeast for 3 years.
Wow.
That was what they gave me as my tattoo. Ezioku Bontu.
Isokubundu, truth is life. You see,
Yes, truth
I
is
wasn't,
life.
I don't have this history, but with my interaction with you, this is the first time I'm speaking with you. I've never spoken with you in my life. This
That's
is the
true.
that's the first time I'm speaking with you, and you can see how transparent and articulate you have presented what we need to hear. So I
Thank
want
you.
us to go to another area you measure so much. I think you were, apart from being the DG of National Sports Commission, you were also the secretary of board that were overseeing the national correctional facility. Um, I think what do you call
Civil
it?
Defense, Immigration, and Fire Service.
Defense, immigration, and the fire service. So these are very integral parts of our security. So what do you, within that period of your service, what were your inputs and what inspired you to make those inputs? Maybe you discovered loopholes that needed to be knitted up. And what were these loopholes? Are they still there or they have been able to resolve it? And what are the new ones that could be rearing their ugly heads? So we want to hear from you because you are a point of reference.
Thank you so much. When I joined the board in June 2018, I had a very energetic Minister of Interior in Lieutenant General Dambazao, was then the serving minister. So immediately I assumed duties, I started reading the files, and I read his speech on his vision for those 4 services. And I checked what my predecessors had done, and I discovered that not up to 5% of what he wanted to achieve had been done in the first 1 year that he took over office as Minister of Interior. Immediately, I went to work and started highlighting those items. Particularly, he wanted to know the exact statistics of the personnel and their ranks and their spread in each of the 4 services. Then secondly, he wanted also a transparent way of conducting a promotion exam from one rank to the other. And thirdly, he wanted a standardized recruitment process to avoid the scandal that happened in immigration where there was stampede in the stadium before he came. So immediately I saw those gaps. I said, let them become the first line charge of action. I developed memos and suggested strategies on how to conduct a good exam for promotion and ensuring that people were promoted on merit, not on the basis of who they knew. And then 2, we were also able to look at how to do an online exam, a digital exam. So we signed a partnership with JAM to conduct recruitment exams for all intakes, because we had people applying up to 115,000 applicants looking for a job for a vacancy of just about 7,000 in one service. So in order to start scrutinizing their credentials electronically, we made sure we also check their ages, their heights, and their characters. There was a kind of a form that we sent. So we now deployed our personnel along with officers to go to the state to conduct a examination screening to be sure that people that are going to be brought into the security system of the country are not people that will become counterproductive or subvert even the system. So we were able to come with an online process of recruitment as well as online process of writing exam for promotion. Now, thirdly, we also discovered that the data, particularly of civil defense, was not accurately kept. So we had to do a head count per command in each state to be sure of the exact people who are working in the service. And then we found out that in civil defense, the training, the promotion exam was not conducted annually. And it's supposed to be done annually for those who are matured every 3 years and for those who are matured every 4 years. So we were able to reconcile our records with because the board was responsible for appointment, promotion, and discipline of the 4 services. So in order to do that successfully, you must have every officer's record and also ensure that the details of qualification of the officer are genuine. So those are the changes that were brought. In fact, it was in the course of that assignment that I was able to meet the current vice president, who was then Senate Committee Chairman on Ontario. When they came on their oversight visit, they were shocked to find the difference, the kind of discipline we had introduced. They said in the past, the board was like a marketplace where people come to negotiate for promotion or buy an appointment. But they will show the sanity themselves and declared that they will give us every support. And that was when we made the request that the act establishing the board needed to be stale. It needed to be updated. So then suddenly, after the cabinet reshufflement, Obeni Areboshola, the former governor of Osun State, took over as Minister of Interior. He came with a very militant idea that the documentation and data collection of everybody in the system must be completed and no more promotion exam without, physically writing exam. People should write it online. So we went into partnership again with the Public Service Institute of Nigeria. And 5 personnel were attached to the board, and we worked together with them and made sure that there was a standardized process of writing exams and questions and answers. So again, there was a huge challenge in the period. There was a conflict between HND or the higher national diploma holders and degree holders had different ranking system, and it created a very bad blood amongst the officers. You will see an officer who has HND doing more brilliantly better than the BSc holder, but the HND person is limited to stop only at the rank of deputy superintendent or assistant controller, while the one with degree will be promoted up to controller general. We were able to get that corrected within 9 months of my being in office, harmonize the qualification, harmonize the ranking system. In fact, Dambo himself told us that he was a holder as captain, but he didn't influence his promotion to become a major. He wrote an exam every other person that went through NDA. So that encouraged us to ensure that the ranking system was harmonized, and HND and BAC were brought together and gave the same chances to reach the high rank of their career. And that is in practice till date.
Wow. Well. Daddy, I'm so happy that you were in the show. And then, you see, I'm very, very happy that at least you are making us proud. Let it be known. This is why we say this platform is for Africans to talk their own talk. Let it be known that we have people who have integrity. We have people who have been in the system and brought positive change in the system. Sometimes good things don't trend. Sometimes, if you have been so corrupt in the system, your name would have been everywhere. But when you are doing the right thing, sometimes our reward principle in Nigeria is very, very poor. Our reward principle in Africa is very, very poor. People are not rewarded when they do great things, but people trend when they are associated with negativity. So that is why, personally, without sounding immodest, with due respect to Nigeria, that's my home. I will remain in Nigeria. No matter I'm in US, I love to be in Nigeria. I'm proud to be in Nigeria. But due respect, you can see if the Senate and the House of Rep of Nigeria has no business to do than to form a committee to look into Bob Risky and the very dark man, it's a serious matter. It shows that the country don't really have that thing did not bring respect to us in the global sense. Because there are very important things to discuss, like the issue of this sports you are talking about. We are not bothered, both in the legislative and in the executive arms, how we harness talents to be able to get this money that is placed globally, that nature has given African and the blacks to be able to explore. And Nigeria is we are gifted human, we are gifted with human and material resources to be able to access this kind of fund. But nobody is talking about it. Committees are not formed. Commissions are not formed. You can look at a commission was scrapped for 8 years. If not, thank God for Bola, President, His Excellency Bola Ahmed Tinubu for bringing it back. You know what that means? A commission that is the nervous system, they control the cycles that regulates either negatively or positively. The entire sports in the country was scrapped for 8 years and nobody was talking about it. And today somebody will stand up and say, Super Eagles, they are not performing. These people are not performing. No, they cannot perform from nowhere. There is a platform that gives them energy and supplies them strength administratively, strategically, and otherwise. And it's not functional. How will they perform? So, Daddy, thank you for coming to the show. I've seen the two commissions, and there are other places you have worked, but this major place, sports and security, they are very, very integral part of Nigeria. And within your service time, you have done great. I want to tell you, without sounding immodest, this is America, and we talk the truth. And one of this African platform is that we don't look at people's face, but if you have done well, we should be able to acknowledge you. I appreciate you. I appreciate your efforts. And I know Nigerians watching, thousands of people are watching us now. Thousands. Those on Instagram, those on Facebook, those on YouTube. They are watching from every part of the world. At least they have heard your voice as an outstanding voice that represents integrity. I am impressed. I am impressed. I don't want to say it before you go. I want to say it before you that I am impressed.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you, Daddy. Before we draw the curtain, what's your general advice to Nigerians looking at how things are happening? Security challenges, the economic nosediving, exchange rates, sports collapsing. A lot of things are not in good shape. But the most important thing is that there is hunger in the land. And a hungry man is an angry man. So, what's your advice to Nigerians generally as the governed? And then your advice also or your admonition. We better use the word admonition to the government of Bola Ahmed Tinubu. I think with this answer, we'll be drawing the curtain for the day. We can still call you back. I've seen a source whereby things come up. We'll bring you back to the studio. Nigeria need to be listening to you every time. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. From the perspective of what Nigerians should do, I'll start with there is a global revolution going on economically, culturally, and spiritually. Nigeria is part of the world. We must make sure we put together a very constructive mechanism in order to be effectively monitoring and moving along with global trends, which means we cannot be an exception. So first and foremost, the country, the citizens must accept that those of us that are alive in the country at whatever age, it's our responsibility to sustain this country that our forefathers had worked tirelessly for. Our ancestors will not be happy with us if everything in this country collapses. The ancestors stood before us, our great parents stood before us in order to prepare us to stand to any challenge. Now, our question mark as citizens is, are we responsible enough? Are we committed enough to bring that constructive contribution to make Nigeria great? And on the other side, in terms of admonition to the government, as somebody who is 63 years old, I think I'm qualified to advise the government. Government must make sure that the style of leadership that is in place should not be a wasteful type. It must be the one that is citizen-oriented, is development-oriented. At no point should government allow any flamboyance to the detriment of the generality of the populace. Thank you. Okay, thank you.
Wow, Daddy. So sorry about
Oh,
it. I
thank
think
you.
automatically we
Okay.
became mutual. Sorry. So what I'm saying is that just like you said, you are qualified to advise the country. For same countries like the one we are in, America, people like you will never be left out of the system. In America, if you are a professional in the security or any aspect, they will not entirely leave you. Instead, you can be in the research center, or you will still be within the circle that they can refer to you at a point. An experienced veteran from Vietnam War can bring a suggestion that can be deployed in Ukraine and have a positive result for the well-being of America and for sustenance of American integrity in the entire globe. So, and this is what our government should be doing. That's my own suggestion. People like you should be excavated from wherever you are. You see, it's not about the Gen Z, it's not about the youthful age. It's about experience, sustaining the continuity, consolidating the intergenerational conversation, whereby values are passed from one generation to the other. This is a country that forgets so easily. You see our legends littered everywhere. The other day, Emmanuel Okala was in my show. I looked for Emmanuel Okala, he was in my show. You know, the other day I looked for in the music industry, I looked for somebody called Baba Frayo, even though he's still young, not
Yes.
so, but is he
Mm.
not to Jay-Z? The man that sang you go the dengue, you go the pros, you go
Yes,
the
yes, yes. Mm.
that's the kind of people I look. You see how I look for you? I look for people in Africa who believe in the elders. The difference between African philosophy and Western philosophy initially was preservation, how our wisdom and sayings were preserved. The Westerners were clever enough to have come to Africa, get the writing materials, and start writing in their place, because the writing materials and everything, civilization, came from Africa. They got it from here. All those people who studied the great Aristotle and other, they all schooled in Egypt. They all schooled in Africa. So, and they preserved their own. But Africans were not unable to preserve ours. But naturally, we refer to the memories of our elders, which is transparent in the sages, in the wisdom saying, in the proverbial sayings, and all the dramatic expressions we have in Africa. That's where we refer to today, which represents the memory of the elders. I read Julius Caesar. Daddy, permit me, I read Julius Caesar, and they said Brutus did the dirty job. And Rome was in chaos. They said, this is a threat to democracy or the government of Rome. What do we do? Somebody suggested that the young people, which is Brutus, have done the dirty job, that we need the gray hair to speak to the Romans. So they looked for a man called Cicero. And when Cicero came and spoke to the Romans, the crisis and the chaos was resolved and people went home. That is how they averted the demonstration or the riot that was to take place because of the murder of Caesar. So today, you are a gray hair in Nigeria.
Thank you.
And you have spoken, just like Cicero spoke to the Romans.
Thank you.
I wish
Thank
Nigeria.
you.
Thank you for coming to this show, Daddy. Thank you. Wow.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you.
Well, before you go finally, what can you say about this Chinedu Anichi TV from the little experience you have from what we're doing? And what do you think the future looks like with us?
My first experience with Chinedu Anichi TV is just this 1 hour conversation for the first time. And they said first impression counts. This has also counted. And I wish this platform, this TV diaspora station that has the vision for a united Africa, all the best. And I assure you, we shall constitute the followership of this station. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you, Daddy. Thank you. I'm grateful. Thank you, sir. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
I'm grateful.
Thank you.
I'm proud. Right. I appreciate you. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay.
Hello, my people. You can see what it means when we say we are the African voice in diaspora. What we mean is that we refer to experienced men. I promised you I continue to bring back to back men who have experience. This is a 40 years experience in Ministry of Sports. This is the former DG of National Sports Commission. And this is also the former secretary of the board that is in charge of immigration, civil, what do you call it? Civil defense, correctional, and fire service. So this is an experienced man when it comes to administration and when it comes to the every strata of governance in Nigeria. So today we had Dr. Al-Hassan Yakmut from Plateau State. So thank you for listening to us. We'll continue to bring, tomorrow we'll be having another show, 8 p.m. Nigerian time, 1 p.m. Central American time. We'll bring in one of the very vibrant youth from Nasarawa State in Nigeria, and it is going to be mind-blowing. Just try and check us out, and if today is your first time, just follow us on Instagram at Chinedu Anichi TV, YouTube Chinedu Anichi TV, Facebook Chinedu Anichi TV. So thank you for listening to us. For those of you on Instagram, I am so grateful you are here. Ayomide, Mark J, P Audience, Omalade, Upeyemi, Micho, Chima Square, oh, Chief were here. Tony Ashwan, Mekun Official, and all of you for certified loaner. I thank all of you for making time to be here. We just finished with the DG of National Sports Commission, Nigeria, and former secretary of the board that was in charge of National Civil Defense Corps, immigration, fire service, and prison. That's what they call National Correctional Commission. So, or services. So, we had a father, we had an experienced man, and it was mind blowing. Tomorrow again, we'll be having in this show a man from Nasarawa State, one of the vibrant youths. He's coming to tell us about the dying voice of Nigerian students. Before, students in Africa, students in Nigeria used to have a voice. When government is doing something wrong or the society is doing something wrong, the students will have a voice. Students will say, no, they call it a Luther spirit, but it's dying this time. So we are bringing this guy who was former senior president of National Association of Nigerian Students tomorrow, 8 p.m. 8 p.m. Nigerian time, 1 p.m. Central American time. Be there. Remember, my name is Chinedu Amici, your one and only celebrity CSO. And this is Chinedu Amici TV, streaming live from St. Louis, Missouri, United States of America. St. Louis. You can see St. Louis logo. That's what we rep. So God bless you for listening to us. Tell a friend to tell a friend. Tell a brother to tell a brother about us today. Chinedu Amici TV, the African voice in diaspora. Thank you. God bless you. Bye.